Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And, well, things are getting interesting. My guest today is ChristieAphrodite. That's alias Christie Czajkowski. Is that correct?
You did that very well. That is correct. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I can read Polish better than I can read Hebrew or something. Where's your family? Where does that name come from? Is that a married name? Where are you from?
Czajkowski. Well, my mom married. Well, my father or sperm donor or whatever was Polak, I guess. So, yeah.
Now. You're a talk show host. You're doing your own talk show on Truth Brigade. We've got all the links to that, and you've also got something here called "Leave Christie Alone." You've got 2 daughters.
I do.
And those were taken to you. Now you were in the Minutemen and. The ADL, SPLC, and Homeland Security have been trying to demonize the Minutemen, the Oath Keepers, and people like me that helped start the militia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, with this, I know Chris Simcox, I know his ex-girlfriend, who took over running the thing. Well, Chris would never return my call, even when he was supposed to be running against John McCain in Congress, but he never showed up. How did you? First of all, what took place here? Did you lose your children? I wonder, how did this come about? How, and what is the time period that happened in there? Is this after you became active? After you started going to some meetings? After you became a Minuteman?
Oh no, I actually tried to run away from them well, funny thing, it was actually the end of 2006, the early 2007, Jeff Schwilk and the San Diego Minutemen, that got really dangerous and violent and such. I actually had to move out to the Ozarks without telling a soul because of how dangerous and such it was, burning my children, following us around non-stop. But it was right after I exposed the sex trafficking ring that really kind of got me in trouble and on everyone's hit list.
Who?
You know, to be honest with you, it wasn't just the government and the other so-called side. It was the Minutemen and them himself. In fact, you brought up Chris Simcox, and I know they staged this big fight, Simcox, Gilchrist, Schwilk, and Eichler, but that's a big lie because I have emails of them all working together trying to figure out how to shut me up. So anyways, the end of 2006, early 2007 is when the false reports being made started happening, and that followed me up until even after we moved everywhere I went in the country. I mean, I was already in a wheelchair by the time we left San Diego. But anyways, so yeah, with the ultimate D-Day, with no investigation or anything, was April 12th this year. They just decided to walk into my house, take my children, and this was while I was live on the air, April 12th.
April 12th of this year?
Yep.
Who walked into your house? Who came into your house?
Oh, Sheriff Carter and a CPS, one of the baby snatchers named Emily Nichols.
I've done numerous stories on the so-called social services and child protective agencies they're nothing more than kidnapping rings, and the children are being drugged, they're being molested by the owners. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, but what were why did they come in here? What allegations are they using against you?
Well, the funny thing is there wasn't any at the time. There was no reason for the guy to be in my house or walk in my house. There was no warrant. There was no charges. There was no crime. In fact, while this was going on, my children were screaming and yelling, "Stop! Stop! Don't hurt my mommy! What are you doing? Where are you taking us?" Even ran over to the car because they arrested me and two of the neighbors who witnessed what they were doing, but didn't. Their charge at that point was resisting arrest. So the charges that came up in the mainstream news, which interestingly enough, all the first reports have been taken down. I don't know if, of course I have copies of it, but I don't know if that's because the sheriff admitted walking in my home without a warrant or anything and beating me up. And
the sheriff beat you? The sheriff actually hurt you, hit you?
Oh yeah, I have bruises, absolutely, yeah. But, I'm just a dumb girl and a crazy terrorist. In fact, the words he used in the article in his report was he heard I might be a danger, so that's why he had to walk in. And I think he mentioned, with the reports, I might have dangerous weapons, and that's why he had to walk in. But the thing is, if that's true, if I was so dangerous, why would he walk into my house alone? Why not any backup? I mean, what's up with that? But so where are these reports coming from? Well, some of my very good stalker friends who, if you go look at all the evidence, I mean, it's been documented for years, so I don't want to bore you with all the gory details, but have just been making promises that that's what, they weren't going to stop until, they had my children taken away. And interestingly enough, I also have audio of the people making the false reports talking about their associations with my family. Funny you bring up the name Czajkowski, which I've been trying to distance myself from, because, well, many reasons. First of all, it's not my name. Second of all, it's cause for a lot of discomfort and pain, and I don't really want to carry on a name or legacy of people that, well, have just, at best, been a nuisance in my life.
Now, let's go back now to, you moved to the Ozarks, and then the sheriff, who you haven't done anything, you haven't committed a crime, you've just moved there.
Well, I'd actually been here 2 years at that point.
Okay. But all you were doing is a radio show?
Yeah, radio show, homeschooling, gardening, helping people cure themselves of cancer, AIDS, just, typical stuff we do in my world.
Okay, now what was the name of the woman that took over for Chris Simcox, his former girlfriend, lives there in Tombstone?
Oh, I really quit paying attention to them for, years ago, but his ex-girlfriend, Carmen
Mercer, yes.
Yeah, she's another typical misogynist pig. She supports him, dedicates her life to him. Then he goes off to D.C. with Gilchrist and the bigwigs and Meet Denier Corporation, who, interestingly enough, is also funding the so-called opposition, and then married some nice little girl, came home, and after 4 years told Carmen to get lost. But that was like 2006, I think.
There had been some kind of story that hit the mainstream, and I believe that the media was talking about you. Is that you who they were talking about, and what was that deal? What was
me?
They mentioned there was some story about that circulated about the Minutemen and some woman that was involved with the Minutemen that were trying to set somebody up for murder or something illegal or something like that, and involving the Minutemen in it. What was that story?
You know, I'm not really sure. There's a few, and it is quite possible. I can't tell with the limited information you're giving me, but yeah, they absolutely